Tired of toxic people draining your energy, undermining your authority, and stealing your peace? What if I told you that there is a cold, calculated strategy to not only neutralize them, but also command respect so profoundly they would fear crossing you again? Today, we uncover Machiavelli's brutal tactics to destroy toxic people and rise untouchable. Greetings, disciple of power. I am your guide through the shadows of strategy and human nature. Today, we will venture into the mind of Niccolo Machiavelli, the man who taught princes to wield power with precision. You will learn how to command respect, prioritize influence over popularity, and destroy the toxicity that dares linger in your life. But beware, these are not lessons for the weak of heart. They are the weapons of the untouchable. Tired of toxic people draining your energy, undermining your authority, and sabotaging your progress? Imagine a world where you are untouchable, where your presence commands respect without uttering a single word, where the chaos of others bends to your calculated calm. Today, we enter the mind of Niccolo Machiavelli, a man who understood the raw mechanics of power and uncover brutal strategies to destroy those who poison your life. In a realm where influence is everything, words are often empty. Presence is the silent weapon that speaks louder than any argument. Toxic individuals thrive on noise, drama, and distraction, seeking to provoke weakness. But when you remain unshaken, deliberate, and composed, you become a fortress they cannot penetrate. Silence is your sword, observation your shield, and restraint your armor. Those who prioritize being liked above being respected are eternally vulnerable. The masses will always whisper, demanding charm, approval, and popularity, yet those who seek to please everyone are easily manipulated and easily discarded. True power lies in commanding respect first, allowing loyalty, compliance, and even fear to flow naturally from others. Toxic people recognize this authority instinctively and recoil, unable to undermine someone whose presence alone conveys dominance. The elite understand that power without respect is hollow, and respect without strategy is fleeting. By combining decisiveness, consistency, and an unshakable demeanor, you become untouchable. Toxic individuals cannot maneuver against someone whose actions are precise and whose mind is clear. Machiavelli revealed that fear is a more reliable tool than love when wielded correctly. But fear must be tempered with mastery. Anticipate the moves of those who wish to destabilize you. Let their own weaknesses be revealed by their impatience, and respond with calculated, measured action. Commanding respect like the elite is not about boasting or aggression. It is about silent assertion, about communicating authority through presence, gesture, and unwavering intent. A firm handshake, direct eye contact, measured speech, and decisive action broadcast power without a single declaration. Destroying toxic people is not about confrontation. It is about subtle domination, manipulation of perception, and strategic alignment with those who reinforce your authority. Toxic shadows vanish under the light of calculated influence. Observe, anticipate, and dismantle their schemes with the precision of a tactician. By remaining composed, deliberate, and untouchable, you force them into irrelevance, leaving only your authority intact. In the game of human nature, those who are feared and respected are never controlled, never questioned, and always victorious. Toxic people thrive on chaos, manipulation, and weakness. But what if you could make them powerless without saying a single word? Today, I reveal Machiavelli's brutal tactics to command respect and destroy toxicity from your life. Presence, not speech. A calm gaze, a deliberate pace, and unshakable composure speak volumes to those who seek to challenge you. Toxic people feed on reaction. They grow strong when you falter. But when your silence is unyielding, your demeanor controlled, and your actions intentional, they have no weapon against you. Respect is won in moments they cannot provoke, in the quiet mastery of your own presence. Power is never found in noise, in chatter, or in the desperate pleas of those who crave attention. True authority is silent, unmovable, and undeniable. Toxic people are hunters of weakness. They smell fear, impatience, and insecurity like predators tracking their prey. They rely on drama, conflict, and manipulation to dominate those around them. But when you master the art of commanding respect without speaking, you enter a realm where their tactics become irrelevant. Your presence alone becomes a statement louder and more persuasive than any words could ever be. It is not the eloquence of speech that earns respect. It is the consistency of action, the control over emotion, and the deliberate intensity with which you occupy a room. Consider the eyes, the posture, and the pace of your movements. A controlled gaze, unbroken and unwavering, communicates authority in a way that words cannot. When a toxic person attempts to provoke, they search for hesitation, for cracks in your composure. If they see none, if your demeanor is steady and calculated, they are rendered powerless. Every motion, every step, every gesture must carry intention, for intention is a weapon far sharper than language. Silence is not emptiness, it is dominance. When you do not react impulsively, when you do not rush to explain yourself, when you allow the world to observe your control, respect is drawn toward you like metal to a magnet. Even your voice, when it is used, should be measured, deliberate, and weighted with consequence. Speak rarely, but when you do, let it land like a hammer, undeniable and precise. Toxic people exploit over-explaining, loud declarations, and emotional outbursts. By contrast, restraint disarms them. They cannot manipulate that which is immovable. Your silence is not submission. It is a demonstration of superiority. You convey to all who watch that you are above petty squabbles, that you are not easily shaken, that your power is intrinsic and not dependent on approval. Mastering this art requires patience and observation. You must understand the people around you, their weaknesses and their patterns. When you do not react to provocation, when you maintain composure while others fumble in their chaos, you establish an unspoken hierarchy. Others begin to notice. Respect is drawn to calm power like moths to a flame, while the toxic falter in the shadows of their own aggression. Commanding respect without words is not an act. It is a state of being cultivated through deliberate control over self, perception, and environment. It is a weapon that cannot be parried, a force that cannot be ignored, and a shield that protects you from the manipulations of those who thrive on weakness. What if I told you that trying to be liked is the fastest way to be controlled? Toxic people exploit those who crave approval. But when you place respect above popularity, you become untouchable. Today, we reveal the secret to rising above being liked and commanding true authority. The world is filled with voices that demand your agreement, your smiles, your constant reassurance. Toxic individuals are masters at detecting neediness, at preying on those who bend themselves for approval. To be liked is to be vulnerable, to hand your power to those who know how to take it. Respect, on the other hand, is earned through firmness, consistency, and an unshakable adherence to principle. When you prioritize respect over being liked, you shift the balance of power. People may resist you at first. They may whisper behind your back, attempt to sway you, or test your boundaries. This is to be expected. But those who understand that authority and influence flow from respect, not popularity, rise above the petty chaos of approval seekers. Your decisions become measured, your presence commanding, your reputation untouchable. You are no longer at the mercy of the approval of others, nor are you distracted by the fleeting comfort of agreement. Toxic individuals recognize this shift instantly. They understand that you are no longer malleable, no longer pliable to their manipulations. When they encounter someone who acts with integrity, with firmness, and with self-command, they falter. The world may never fully like you, but it will respect you. Respect carries weight, it opens doors, shields you from influence, and commands attention in ways that liking never can. Those who attempt to sway or provoke you are powerless in the face of consistency and principled strength. To prioritize respect over being liked is to reclaim your authority, to rise above manipulation, and to position yourself where influence cannot be taken from you. This is the mindset of the untouchable, the approach of those who navigate human nature with precision, and the armor that renders toxicity ineffective. In the theater of human interaction, there are two currencies, being liked and being respected. To be liked is to seek warmth, approval, and fleeting smiles. To be respected is to command authority, loyalty, and influence. Toxic people, like cunning predators, instinctively target those who chase approval. They recognize desperation, insecurity, and the hunger to be accepted. They whisper, manipulate, and provoke, testing boundaries. Watching for hesitation, knowing that those who bend themselves for approval are easily controlled. Every attempt to be liked comes at the cost of power. Every smile granted in fear or discomfort strengthens those who seek to dominate. If you wish to rise above toxicity, you must understand this fundamental truth: being liked is a liability, respect is a weapon. Respect is earned through firmness, consistency, and unwavering principles. It is communicated not through words, but through action, posture, and deliberate intention. When you prioritize respect over being liked, you take control of the narrative. Decisions are made on principle, not popularity. Your actions are deliberate, your demeanor steady, your presence unshakable. People may resist, they may scorn, they may whisper behind your back, but the power of respect lies not in immediate approval, but in enduring influence. Those who understand the value of respect over likability act decisively, remain composed in the face of provocation, and refuse to sacrifice principle for temporary comfort. Toxic individuals find such people threatening because their tools, manipulation, flattery, and emotional provocation, fail. They cannot bend someone who stands firmly in their authority, who prioritizes principle over praise, who values consequence over charm. To navigate the world in this way requires observation, patience, and self-control. You must detach from the desire for approval, recognizing it as a trap that erodes your power. You must learn to listen, assess, and respond strategically, rather than reacting to the emotional chaos of those who seek to destabilize you. Your presence becomes a statement, a declaration of unyielding authority that cannot be swayed by whispers or flattery. Actions replace words, firmness replaces pleading, and consistency replaces compromise. Respect becomes inevitable because it is drawn to those who cannot be manipulated, those who command space without apology, and those who act with intention while others react impulsively. The toxic will attempt to unsettle you, to provoke you, to test your boundaries relentlessly. Their influence is weakened when confronted with the steady, calculated force of someone who places respect above all else. They recognize instinctively that their usual strategies, deception, coercion, charm, hold no sway. When you operate from this mindset, the world shifts. Approval becomes irrelevant, admiration becomes optional, and influence becomes absolute. You move in a realm where the opinions of the insecure cannot reach you, where authority is earned and maintained, and where toxic individuals are disarmed by your unwavering command. Power without respect is like a sword without a hilt, useless and dangerous. Toxic people thrive on those who appear strong but lack authority. What if you could become untouchable, commanding influence that no one dares challenge? To become untouchable, one must understand that power and respect are inseparable yet distinct forces. Power is the ability to act, to enforce decisions, to shape your environment, but without respect it crumbles. Respect is the silent acknowledgement from others that your authority is legitimate, that your presence carries weight, that your decisions are final. Toxic individuals are drawn to weakness, to gaps where authority falters. They exploit hesitation, insecurity, and indecision. The untouchable, however, embodies both the capacity to act and the inevitability of respect. They move with precision, speak with intention, and act with foresight. Their power is not loud or aggressive. It is quiet, unyielding, and undeniable. When toxic people attempt to test them, they find no cracks to exploit. When others witness their composure, consistency, and decisiveness, admiration and fear mingle in equal measure. This is how influence becomes absolute. Power without respect is vulnerable. Respect without power is superficial. To be untouchable, you must cultivate both. Every gesture, every choice, every interaction is deliberate, designed to reinforce your authority. You are observed, and those who seek to undermine you see only control, precision, and unshakable command. The toxic, realizing they cannot manipulate, intimidate, or outmaneuver you, falter in your presence. Their attempts to destabilize fail because you have constructed an unassailable position, a reputation forged through consistent action, disciplined thought, and the relentless cultivation of both power and respect. In the landscape of influence, power alone is hollow, and respect without substance is fragile. To become untouchable, one must understand the delicate dance between these two forces. Power is the ability to act, to enforce your will, to shape the environment around you, yet without respect it is brittle, easily challenged, and vulnerable to manipulation. Respect, on the other hand, is the acknowledgement from others that your authority is legitimate, that your presence commands attention, and that your decisions carry consequence. Toxic people are hunters of weakness, drawn instinctively to anyone whose power is unchecked by respect, or whose respect is unbacked by power. They exploit hesitation, insecurity, and inconsistency, using them as levers to destabilize their target. To navigate such dangers, one must cultivate both power and respect, making them inseparable pillars of authority that reinforce and amplify one another. The untouchable individual moves with precision. Every action is deliberate, every word calculated, every gesture intentional. They understand the environment they inhabit and manipulate perception with subtlety and mastery. Toxic people who thrive on chaos and disorder quickly discover that their usual tactics, provocation, manipulation, and intimidation fail when confronted with someone whose authority is grounded in both power and respect. Observation is key. By studying the behaviors, weaknesses, and tendencies of those around you, you can anticipate challenges before they manifest. When you respond to disruption with calm, measured control, you assert dominance without needing to speak. Power becomes silent, yet undeniable, and respect flows naturally to those who consistently demonstrate mastery over themselves and their environment. Influence becomes absolute when others perceive your authority as inherent and unassailable. People begin to defer to your decisions even without being asked because they sense that resistance is futile. Toxic individuals realize their efforts to manipulate or provoke are wasted, and their attempts to challenge your position collapse. The untouchable understands that dominance is rarely shown through aggression or loud assertion. It is conveyed through the consistency of action, the weight of reputation, and the aura of inevitable authority. Every encounter reinforces this perception, creating a feedback loop where power is respected and respect reinforces power. Decisions are made swiftly, actions executed with precision, and presence alone communicates competence and control. To cultivate this untouchable state, one must practice patience, discipline, and self-command. Composure must be maintained even in the face of provocation, and perception must be managed with the same care as action. When toxic individuals confront someone who embodies both power and respect, they falter instinctively. Their manipulations fail, their provocations are ignored, and their influence dissipates. The untouchable becomes a force that cannot be moved, challenged, or undermined, a figure who exists above the petty chaos of those who would seek to control them. Every movement, every glance, every calculated silence reinforces their position, cementing the perception of authority that makes them untouchable in the eyes of all who witness it. What if there was a secret method to become untouchable, to move through the world immune to manipulation, criticism, and toxicity? Machiavelli knew it, and today you will learn it. Machiavelli observed the world not as it wished to be, but as it truly was, filled with ambition, envy, and deceit. His secret to becoming untouchable lies not in brute force, nor in seeking approval, but in mastering perception, strategy, and control. To be untouchable is to operate above the petty schemes of others, to act with foresight, and to anticipate threats before they arise. Toxic individuals test, provoke, and manipulate, but when confronted with someone who has cultivated strategic awareness, they find their efforts fail. Machiavelli taught that fear and respect are far more reliable than affection, yet fear alone is brittle. It must be paired with calculated mastery. The untouchable understands the psychology of those around them, the patterns of manipulation, and the predictable weaknesses that others try to exploit. Every decision is deliberate, every action intentional, and every word carefully measured. By controlling perception, you control influence. By remaining composed, you neutralize attempts at chaos. By anticipating moves before they occur, you remove vulnerability. To be untouchable is to be both seen and unseen, a presence that commands respect without confrontation, a force that cannot be shaken or manipulated, and a mind that outmaneuvers toxicity at every turn. Machiavelli observed the world as it truly was, not as it pretended to be. He saw ambition cloaked in friendship, envy disguised as praise, and deceit hidden behind smiles. From this understanding, he distilled a principle that few truly grasp. To be untouchable is to rise above the petty schemes of others, to operate in a realm where manipulation, criticism, and toxicity cannot reach you. It is not about overpowering those around you or seeking approval. It is about mastering perception, strategy, and self-command. Those who are untouchable act with foresight, anticipating threats before they manifest. They move deliberately, appearing calm and composed while others flail in reaction to chaos. Toxic individuals thrive on unpredictability and emotional reactions. But when faced with someone who understands the rules of human nature, their tools fail. Provocation, flattery, manipulation, and intimidation have no effect against a mind trained in strategic awareness and composure. The secret lies in understanding the psychology of others. Observe patterns, detect weaknesses, and anticipate the moves of those who seek to undermine you. Every action, no matter how small, is deliberate. Every word is measured, spoken with intent, carrying weight beyond mere conversation. By controlling perception, you control influence. Others are drawn to those who appear unshakable, and toxic individuals instinctively recognize someone whose authority cannot be challenged. They realize too late that their usual methods, schemes, gossip, emotional provocation are impotent against the untouchable. Machiavelli taught that fear and respect are far more reliable than affection, yet fear alone is brittle if it is not paired with mastery. True untouchability requires both the power to act decisively and the wisdom to do so strategically. The untouchable understands timing, subtlety, and discretion. They act in ways that seem effortless to outsiders but are meticulously calculated. They anticipate threats and neutralize them before they arise, often without confrontation. Toxic people attempt to manipulate, but they cannot predict or sway a mind that has already mapped their strategies. Observation and patience are as critical as decisive action. By remaining calm when others provoke, by maintaining composure when chaos swirls around them, the untouchable becomes a constant, immovable force. Their presence commands respect without demand. Their decisions carry weight without debate, and their authority becomes self-evident. This state is achieved through discipline, strategic awareness, and the mastery of perception. To be untouchable is to operate both seen and unseen, to move above petty conflict while controlling outcomes, to neutralize toxicity without engaging in it. Every glance, gesture, and calculated pause reinforces the image of a person beyond influence, beyond manipulation, and beyond fear. Those who attempt to destabilize or challenge them quickly realize that their efforts are wasted. The untouchable becomes a force that cannot be swayed, a presence that cannot be undermined, and a mind that navigates human nature with precision, always remaining one step ahead, untouchable in every sense of the word. What separates the elite from the masses is not luck, talent, or charm. It is the ability to command respect effortlessly. Toxic people fear this skill, and once you master it, influence becomes automatic. The 1% elite understand that respect is earned through presence, precision, and perception, not through words or pleading. They move deliberately, act decisively, and project an unshakable aura of authority. Toxic individuals are drawn to hesitation, uncertainty, and emotional weakness, but the elite remain unprovoked, responding only when strategy demands. Every gesture, every glance, every decision communicates control and confidence. When they enter a room, their presence commands attention before they speak, and their actions reinforce their reputation. Those who attempt to manipulate or provoke the elite quickly realize their efforts are futile. Respect, once cultivated through consistent mastery of self and environment, becomes automatic. You do not ask for it, you do not beg for it, you simply embody it. Toxic people, accustomed to bending others to their will, find themselves powerless in the face of someone who radiates authority, decisiveness, and composure. To command respect like the 1% is to act with intention at all times, to anticipate manipulation, and to maintain control over perception and influence without relying on force or approval. The elite understand that respect is not granted. It is seized through mastery of presence, action, and perception. It is not enough to speak loudly, to argue convincingly, or to seek approval from others. Toxic people feed on the weak, the hesitant, and the insecure. They detect uncertainty and exploit it, using charm, manipulation, or provocation to bend others to their will. Those who rise above, however, operate differently. They command respect before uttering a word through the calculated way they carry themselves, the deliberate pacing of their actions, and the unwavering authority in their gaze. Every movement, every glance, every decision communicates a subtle but undeniable dominance. Toxic individuals are immediately unsettled when they encounter this kind of presence. Their usual tactics, designed to provoke or manipulate, fail against someone who projects composure, decisiveness, and confidence. The 1% elite know that influence is a silent currency accumulated through consistency, foresight, and the careful management of perception. They anticipate challenges, reading the intentions of those around them before a conflict even arises. When they speak, their words carry weight, not because they are loud, but because they are precise, deliberate, and backed by the inevitability of action. Toxic individuals, accustomed to bending others with chaos or persuasion, quickly discover that they cannot sway someone who has mastered this balance. Respect, once earned in this way, becomes automatic. Others defer, influence flows, and authority is unchallenged. To command respect like the elite is to operate with intention at all times, to project strength without aggression, and to remain unshakable in the face of provocation. Observation and patience are critical. The elite study human behavior, identifying patterns, weaknesses, and opportunities to reinforce their authority. They understand that respect is cultivated through action more than words, through consistency more than charm, and through presence more than plea. Every interaction, no matter how small, becomes an opportunity to strengthen their position. Toxic people may attempt to undermine, distract, or manipulate, but their efforts are neutralized before they even begin. The elite move through environments as forces of inevitability. Others sense their command intuitively. They remain calm under pressure, decisive when necessary, and strategic at all times. Their presence alone commands attention, and their actions reinforce a reputation that cannot be questioned. By embodying this approach, one ascends above chaos, manipulation, and toxicity. Influence is not begged for. It is automatically granted by those who recognize competence, decisiveness, and authority. Toxic individuals, finding their usual methods powerless, are left to falter while the elite continue to operate unchallenged, commanding respect effortlessly and strategically, as if it were their natural state. Toxic people often lurk in every corner, draining your energy and testing your limits. But what if you could neutralize them completely, without confrontation, and rise above their schemes? Machiavelli understood that the most dangerous adversaries are not always the strong or overtly aggressive. They are the insidious, the manipulators, the ones who undermine quietly while presenting a friendly face. To destroy toxic individuals, one must think several moves ahead, acting with strategy rather than emotion. Confrontation is rarely the answer. Subtlety, foresight, and calculated influence are far more effective. Observe their patterns, identify their vulnerabilities, and manipulate perception to expose their weaknesses without appearing to attack. Allies and perception are weapons. Align yourself with those who reinforce your authority, amplify your influence, and isolate the toxic presence. Every action should reinforce your position and diminish theirs, often without them realizing it until it is too late. Machiavelli teaches that destruction is best achieved when it seems natural, inevitable, and indirect. The toxic, unable to predict or counter your strategy, crumble under the weight of your composed, calculated dominance. Patience, observation, and strategic execution are your tools. Emotional reaction is their weapon. Calm, measured action is yours. By mastering these principles, you neutralize toxicity, reclaim your influence, and create an environment where your authority is absolute and unquestioned. Toxic people are rarely defeated by direct confrontation alone. Their strength lies in subtlety, manipulation, and the exploitation of emotion. They hide behind charm, flattery, or fabricated grievances, testing the boundaries of those around them while appearing harmless. To destroy them, one must operate several steps ahead, thinking strategically and acting deliberately. Machiavelli teaches that emotion is a liability in dealing with such individuals. Reacting with anger, frustration, or impatience only strengthens their position. Instead, neutrality, observation, and measured action are the weapons of choice. By watching closely, one can detect the patterns of behavior, the predictable manipulations, and weaknesses that are often hidden beneath layers of deceit. Every word, gesture, and move must be calculated to reinforce your authority and reduce theirs, gradually reshaping the environment in your favor without alerting them to your strategy. Influence is a key tool in this process. Toxic individuals are dependent on perception. They rely on the reactions of others to validate their schemes. By controlling perception, you control the battlefield. Aligning yourself with allies who amplify your authority and reinforce your reputation creates an indirect shield, isolating the toxic presence and diminishing their power. Subtlety is essential. Destruction is most effective when it appears inevitable, natural, and indirect. It is not about overt attacks, but about quietly exposing vulnerabilities, revealing hypocrisy, and neutralizing influence through observation and strategic maneuvering. Toxic people cannot manipulate what they cannot predict, and they cannot dominate what they cannot unsettle. Patience is indispensable. The untouchable does not rush the process. They allow events to unfold while guiding outcomes quietly from behind the scenes. Toxic individuals, accustomed to immediate reactions and emotional volatility, often underestimate the power of calculated restraint. They make mistakes, overreach, and reveal their true nature, often without realizing that they are being observed and recorded in the theater of influence. Each misstep is an opportunity to consolidate authority, reinforce boundaries, and remove leverage from those who would undermine you. By mastering this approach, one creates an environment in which toxicity cannot thrive. Manipulation is neutralized before it begins, provocations fail to provoke, and influence is restored to its rightful owner. Strategic observation, decisive action, and the subtle reshaping of perception allow the toxic to crumble under their own weight. In this way, destruction is not violent, chaotic, or conspicuous. It is methodical, calculated, and absolute. Through this Machiavellian lens, one learns that the most powerful victories are those achieved with minimal effort and maximum foresight, turning the weaknesses of others into a silent, inevitable triumph. Now you possess the strategies that separate the untouchable from the ordinary, the powerful from the manipulated. You have learned to command respect without words, to prioritize authority over approval, to combine power with respect until it becomes unassailable, to master perception and strategy to remain untouchable, to act with the precision of the elite, and to dismantle toxicity before it touches you. These are not lessons for the weak of heart. They are tools for those willing to embrace discipline, foresight, and calculated action. Walk with composure, act with intent, and observe with clarity. Let the manipulative, the envious, and the toxic falter in the shadow of your presence. In the world of Machiavelli, the strong survive not through brute force, nor through fleeting charm, but through mastery of self, mastery of perception, and mastery of human nature itself. Your authority is your shield, your strategy your weapon, and your composure the fortress that makes you untouchable.